Hey everybody, my name is Shelby and welcome to my channel if you're new here. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. I'm so happy. This video is going to be talking about my five-star books from 2022. I'm going to be totally honest with you here. I struggled a lot with reading in 2022. I got into reading in 2022, but I also struggled with it a lot, especially once I got back into school. I started getting into reading in about July, and then about in August, I was like, I'm reading all the time for school. I have a headache. I'm exhausted. I don't have time to read. And as the years gone on, I've been able to find more time for it. So my five-star books are probably books that you've heard of, and I just wanted to go ahead and say that, like, get that out here. But let's start. Here they are. You're probably like, Shelby, those are the most basic books ever, but they are, and I'm okay with that. The first book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This was also my last read of 2022. I loved this book. This book was so good. I think anything by Taylor Jenkins Reid, just because it's 2023 now, and I've already read 2 of her books, and it's the 3rd. But anything by her is just gonna have you staring at your ceiling, being like, oh my god, like, this book is so good. They're making it into a movie, which is awesome, or a TV show. I think it's a movie though. It was so good. Let's just talk about it for a sec. If you have not read this book, totally recommend. It's 5 stars for me. I like the writing. I like the way it's split into the sections by the husbands. It was not at all what I was expecting. Like, if you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about. Good old Celia St. James. Like, it was so good. It was not what I was expecting, but it was so good. And I've said this before in my videos. I absolutely love how Taylor Jenkins Reid connects different characters throughout her books. Like, I think that's so cool as someone who's read this, and I've read Malibu Rising, and I've read Daisy Jones and the Six. Like, Mick Rivera is in both of those books. Like, it's just so cool. But if you don't know what this is about a famous actress. In my mind, she's kind of like Marilyn Monroe. And she like rises to stardom. But like one thing people are always focused on about her is that she's had 7 husbands. But she has a reason for all of those 7 husbands, and you're gonna learn about that in this book. And I really enjoyed this book. So it was a good read for me. So this one was 5 stars. Next, you're gonna be like, Shelby, this is the most basic book. I don't even know if it's 5 stars, but The Summer I Turned Pretty. The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. I read this book right after I watched this series, and then I read the whole series. I've read all 3 books. I was really into the series. I really liked it. I was like, Conrad? I'm Team Conrad, you know, and so I decided to pick up the books on, I had a really bad day, and I read this book in a day, and I was just like, I think it's a good sign, especially when you're me and have a hard time concentrating, when you can read a book in a day, and I was able to do that with this. But if you don't know what it's about this girl, and she goes to this beach over the summer, and there are these 2 boys, and they both kind of have a thing for her, so, and she has a thing for one of them, maybe 2 of them, like, I don't know, but yes, this book was 5 stars. This book was 5 stars. Don't cancel me. I really enjoyed this book. So, Summer I Turned Pretty. But honestly, the next 2 were also really good. They were probably both 5 stars too, but I only wanted to, the whole series is 5 stars. Let's just say that. Next book is a classic. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I think this book has really bad stigma because obviously it was written in a different time, and it says, you know, the N-word, which is awful. Don't say that word. That's not a good word. But I think that people need to look past that when it comes to this book and realize, yes, this was written in a very different time. It is set in a very different time. It is set in a time when that was okay. And people didn't think about that. And I'm never saying that word was okay, but it was written at a time where that's just what, you know, Black people were referred to as, and that's awful. I totally agree. That is not something that we need to, you know, hype up. That's a word that you should not say. But I think we need to look past that when it gets in this book, and just look at the beautiful writing that Harper Lee did in this book, and the beautiful storyline of Tim Robinson and Atticus Finch. Like, I think we need to look past that with this book. This book is the book that got me into reading. Oh, you guys can see my leg there. Yikes. But I think we really need to look past that. And I get it. I get why people don't want to read it, and if that's the sole reason you're not reading it, I understand. But this is, like, my favorite book of all time. I love this book. I just, I love it. So, I would recommend it. I 100% recommend this book. I'm just gonna say that. Next, after that, is The Midnight Library. I don't have the cover on the book, but The Midnight Library. I read this book because of Lexi Hidalgo. She's like my favorite influencer, so I read this book because of her. It's so good. I think the time in my life I was kind of going through what the character in the book is going through a little bit, you know, very depressed, very, you know, had a lot of anxiety, definitely going through the mental illness. In this book, I just find it so interesting. So, like, basically, which, if you don't know what this book's about, this girl dies. Well, she, you know, commits suicide. Trigger warning. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. Trigger warning. But basically, she, trigger warning, commits suicide. But she's, like, fighting for her life. You know, and so there's this midnight library, and she gets to go see, there's books for if she would have picked to do this with her life, or she would have said yes to this, or if she would have said no to this, or if she would have dated this person, or if she would have, you know, done this differently. So she gets to pick these books up and go into her life. And if she's happy enough there, she'll stay there. And if she's not, then she'll come back to the midnight library. So I really enjoyed this book. This is definitely a 5-star. Last but not least, Orbiting Jupiter. This is also one of my favorite books, and I think a lot of hard topics are covered in this book. It talks a lot about foster care system, teen pregnancy, things like that. I really enjoyed this book. It's short. It's like, I don't even know, but it's really short. It's 183 pages. 183 pages. You can read this in a sitting. I did. And it's been a reread for me. I've constantly reread this book. And it's so amazing. Basically, it is about this boy, and his name is Jack. Well, kind of. It's about Jack, and it's about Joseph, which is his foster brother. And basically, Joseph has a daughter, and he's 13 years old. He's in 8th grade. Like, and it's mind-boggling, and it's really sad. I'm not gonna lie, it is really sad. I cry every time I read it. But this book is just, I totally recommend it. So, yes, those are my 5-star books of 2022. I hope you guys are all having the best new year. And yes, please like and subscribe. Please leave comments if you guys liked these books, if you didn't like these books, if you loved this book and then you loved another book that was similar to this one. Let me know. Okay. Bye, guys. Lots of love.